have a new series for you guys. We call it the Serial Killer News. In these videos, we collect minor news about different serial killers and cover them in one video. Late in 2016, it came to our attention that serial killer Peter Sutcliffe, also known as the Yorkshire Ripper, is forced to wear nappies after wetting his bed in prison. The Yorkshire Ripper, who butchered 13 women and tried to kill 7 more, was moved from a psychiatric unit where he had spent 3 decades to a mainstream jail. Sources claim that Sutcliffe will do anything to get out of Frankland and go back to the life he had in Broadmoor, where he has a twisted sort of celebrity status. Sutcliffe claims his victims had forgiven him. He reportedly began speaking in the voices of the women he murdered as he went into some kind of trance in his cell. While in a trance, the Ripper should have asked his victims, "Do you accept I was mentally ill when I murdered you?" And in another voice he should have replied, "Yes, I do." Prison officers told that the seance was just another attempt getting transferred back to the secure hospital Broadmoor after he supposedly told staff the messages were proof he was crazy. Sutcliffe, now 70 years old, claimed his return to prison from Broadmoor Hospital has affected his eyesight. In 1997, another inmate attacked Sutcliffe. It left him without any sight in his left eye. Meanwhile, his right eye has been worsening because of medical conditions. Sutcliffe told a friend he don't know what to do if he can't write letters and watch TV. It is understood that transferring Sutcliffe to the high secure prison could save up to £250,000 a year. According to the Daily Star, a Muslim inmate told Sutcliffe he was a marked man in prison and would be dead within a month, unless he had friends to protect him. Sutcliffe has had death threats since he was moved to the high secure prison in County Durham. But it is understood Sutcliffe changed his mind about converting to Islam after learning he would have to be circumcised. It seems as the Yorkshire Ripper has found a new friend behind bars, as he reportedly is bonding with murderer Ian Huntley due to their shared love of BBC's Planet Earth. As it emerged that the Yorkshire Ripper has lost the vast majority of his sight, he needs a jail body to read to him. And here it seems as Ian Huntley, 42 years, comes in handy for the old Ripper. Huntley have reportedly been helping Sutcliffe finding his way around the prison wing. Not long ago, Sutcliffe had said he would rather die by lethal injection than go back to prison after being held at Broadmoor for 32 years. But now he says he wouldn't go back to Broadmoor if they gave him £1,000,000. It seems as Sutcliffe and Huntley are enjoying each other's company watching documentaries. At least the Sun claims Sutcliffe told a source he finds Ian really friendly and helpful. But as a Jehovah's Witness, Sutcliffe does not believe in evolution, so he is not keen on David Attenborough from Planet Earth as a person, because he is an atheist. Ian Huntley, who seems to have become the right hand of Sutcliffe, is serving 2 life terms with a minimum of 40 years for the 2002 murders of 10-year-old Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman in Soham. In August 1978, a 13-year-old schoolgirl named Janet Tate vanished without a trace when she was delivering newspapers. The case became known as the Paper Girl. While her bicycle and newspapers were discovered scattered in the middle of a quiet country lane in Aylesbury, Devon, the schoolgirl's body was never found. Cops could tell of unpublished evidence that led to their suspicion, including Robert Black's confession that he had visited the village from where the schoolgirl disappeared 38 years ago, and a fuel receipt proved Robert Black was in the area at the time. The Scottish serial killer who went on a murder spree between 1981 and 1986 died in prison in January 2016. So sadly, the cold case file could no longer be pursued due to the death of Robert Black. Black was convicted of kidnap, rape, sexual assault and murder of 4 girls aged between 5 and 11. With his MO, there were similarities to his other crimes. Young girls riding bikes wearing white ankle socks. John Tate, the now 74-year-old father of Janet Tate, revealed how he would have liked to find the body of his daughter after 38 years. But as Black is dead, there is sadly not much to do. Bruce Mendenhall, also known as the truck stop serial killer, was charged with the death of Karma Purpura. A body found about 5 years ago near Glasgow has finally been identified as the body of Karma Purpura, who was last seen at a truck stop in Indianapolis in 2007. Police revealed they found her ID and blood, along with blood from 9 other people in Bruce's truck. The police thought they would never find her body, but with the identification of Karma's body, her family might be able to find some closure and give their loved one a proper burial. Police believed Purpura was one of many victims of Mendenhall. They believed the women were driven to prostitution due to drug addiction. It is believed Mendenhall has committed murders in at least 4 states, including Tennessee. It has been possible connecting him to at least 7 killings. Currently, Bruce Mendenhall is serving a life sentence for the murder of Sarah Holbert, who was killed at a Nashville truck stop. A detective describes how Mendenhall was the next door neighbor, the type you would wave to. He looked like a regular guy, a typical trucker. There was nothing remarkable about him. He even ran for mayor in his town at a time. Police described when you take that description and transform it into a serial killer, they were looking for someone like a monster. Detective Porcelloni said many serial killers share the same profession. Truck driver killers are good in covering their killings. When a truck driver kills someone in one state, a few hours later, he can be 3 states away before the police even find the body. It's a real good cover. There are hundreds of victims who've been identified who might have been killed by a truck driver. A self-confessed serial killer named William Dathan Holbert, age 37, also known as Wild Bill, has been waiting for a trial date for 6 years after confessing to killing 5 people in Panama. His girlfriend, Laura Michelle Reyes, age 35, is also facing 5 counts of murder and 4 counts of robbery in connection with the slaying. In 2010, 5 bodies were found on the property owned by Holbert. Author Nick Foster published a book about Holbert in July 2016 with the title The Jolly Roger Social Club, a true story of a killer in paradise. It took Mr. Foster 2 years writing the book, which included 4 visits to Panama and a visit to Holbert in prison. Nick Foster also visited the US where he spoke to some family members of the victims and people who knew Holbert. Mr. Foster met Holbert in jail in September 2015 where he had spent about 19 minutes talking with Holbert. Foster told he could detect no remorse from Holbert, who seemed convinced he wasn't going to spend the rest of his life in jail. Holbert believes he will be out when he is 40, as there are too many loopholes. as he says. While in jail, Holbert claims he found God. Holbert has his own webpage where he described himself as a ministry encouraging people to send their prayers and donations. The murder investigation began when authorities found the bodies of an American woman and a man buried behind Holbert's home in 2010. The woman was identified as Cheryl Lynn Hughes and the man was Bo Eisler. When Holbert and his girlfriend was arrested, he confessed to have killed 5 Americans, including Hodges, Eisler, Michael Brown, Mr. Brown's wife, and their 17-year-old son. Holbert told he killed the Browns in 2007 by shooting them in the head. Holbert developed a friendship with Brown. As Holbert figured out, Brown had a lot of money and a bank account from drug trafficking. He shot him. According to Holbert's website, he began working as a security guard and was hired to murder people engaged in human and drug trafficking and fraud. After the killing of the Brown family, Holbert turned their home into the Jolly Roger Social Club, where drink and drug-fueled parties were used to get to know other expats. Holbert met his girlfriend Reese in Asheville at the Body Shop, a local gym where Holbert worked. The couple had been on the run since 2006 when police in Leamington charged Holbert with selling a house that didn't belong to him. Author Nick Foster said that people who knew Holbert described him as loud and aggressive. He was a violent man and threatening. Foster said he also had these dreams that he wasn't able to make into reality. Don't forget to hit this video with a big thumbs up if you would like us to make a review of the book about Wild Bill written by Nick Foster. The father of the Suffolk strangler Stephen Wright has urged his son to finally stand up and admit his infamous murder spree. It's now 10 years since the disappearance of the Suffolk strangler's first victim, so Conrad Wright would like his son to confess, he told BBC. The now 80-year-old father of Stephen Wright said he could never forgive his son for what he had done. He stole the women's lives. Stephen Wright was handed a full life jail term for the murder of 5 young women who vanished in 2006, but the former truck driver and serial killer has never admitted his guilt. It was 6 weeks of terror for the locals as detectives were hunting for the serial killer who left his victims' naked bodies appearing in isolated locations around the Suffolk town. During a trial at Ipswich Crown Court, Stephen Wright admitted having sex with the women but denied murdering them. Conrad Wright doesn't know where his son is imprisoned, but if they ever met again, he would like to hear the truth. But as the serial killer's father knows his son, he knows he would only receive avoiding answers like, "I don't know," and "I don't remember." With his life sentence, the Suffolk strangler joins other inmates who have been handed out the same sentence. That is only given in the gravest cases. So Wright joins the rank of Jeremy Bamber, Levi Belfield, and Rose West. In his latest parole hearing, Juan Corona confesses to the murder of 25 migrant farm workers and raised details about other possible killings never discovered. The now 82-year-old serial killer, who is suffering from dementia, will come for a new parole hearing, but District Attorney Amanda Hopper planned to argue against his release. Corona was found guilty of murder in 1973 and again following a retrial in 1982. He was sentenced to 25 life terms. In his last parole hearing in 2011, he raised details about other possible killings that had never been discovered. Bodies found in grave sites in 1971 showed wounds from a knife or machete. Some injuries were inflicted with such force that they served the portions of the victim's skull. Took about a year to do all those killings, Corona said, according to a transcript of the hearing. 4 of his victims were never identified. Corona was diagnosed with schizophrenia, psychotic disorder, depression, delusional disorder, and dementia, according to a parole board commissioner's testimony in 2011. His plans, if he is released on parole, have not yet been released. During the last hearing, he indicated he would live with his brother in Arizona if he was released, but if he has made other plans if eventually released is unsure. It has been revealed that fellow prisoners had planned to murder serial killer Fred West by giving him poisoned alcohol in his cell. Alcohol should be smuggled into jail in water bottles. The inmates with the most privileges, called red bands, were then able to distribute the bottles throughout the jail, including alcohol spiked with poison to West's cell. Red bands are supposedly well-behaved convicts, and they often work unsupervised in prison offices, the staff mess, the stores, or reception. In a new book, hidden documents is going to be revealed, including records of phone intercepts, secret memos on the governor about the plot, and cell searches. As officers heard of the attempted plot of killing Fred West, they immediately searched the cells of all the inmates working in the officers' mess plus West's own cell, in search of the poisoned booze. During the search, plastic bottles smelling of alcohol was found among other stuff. The orderly, who had been allowed limited access to the prison grounds, was immediately sacked from his trusted post and given work back inside the prison. At the time the inmates made the plot of killing West, he was awaiting trial for the murder of 12 young girls. Most of the killings were committed with his wife, Rosemary West. Fred was hated as a child killer and child abuser by his fellow inmates. Therefore, he was segregated from the other inmates at Winson Green. West was given a cell on a landing above the prison's convicted sex offenders, where prison authorities believed he would be safe. He lived in fear of being killed, but after he was taken off suicide watch, he hanged himself in his cell on New Year's Day 1995. Actually, his prison files should have been sealed for 84 years, but after his death, documents were released. Professor Tom Clark of Sheffield University has been researching the prison files of one of Britain's most notorious serial killer for a book that should be released this year called The Sociology of Evil. Tom Clark said Fred West loved his booze, so the inmates had hit on the perfect plan to catch him off guard. Fred West was seen as a hated figure like Jan Brady because his victims were children. As things calmed down, the other inmates saw him as simple-minded, so they nicknamed him Digger and joked about asking him to lay a patio for them. But West was regarded as a high-profile target, and poisoning him would probably have been the only way they could get to him. Although the prison phone system is designed to record all prisoners' calls, only about 5% a day is actively monetized. So Professor Clark added, quote, "It was a total fluke that prison control room happened to intercept a call which caused the whole plot to unravel. If the inmates had managed killing West, the story could have ended very differently and would probably have caused an even bigger rumpus about jail security than West's suicide did. Don't miss out on any crime news. Follow us on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and don't forget to slap that follow button and click the bell. Then you will be updated when we have news for you.